Now we come to Sutta number 89, Dhammacetiya Sutta, Monuments to the Dhamma. This is a very interesting sutta. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in the Sakyan country at a town of the Sakyans named Medalumpa. Now on that occasion, King Pasenadi of Kosala had arrived at Nagaraka for some business or other. Then he addressed Diga Karayana. Diga Karayana is a general. Dear Karayana, have the state carriages prepared. Let us go to the pleasure garden to see a pleasing spot. Yes, sire, Diga Karayana replied. When the state carriages were prepared, he informed the king, Sire, the state carriages are ready for you. Now is the time to do as you think fit. Then King Pasenadi mounted a state carriage and accompanied by the other carriages, he drove out from Nagaraka with the full pomp of royalty and proceeded towards the park. He went thus as far as the road was passable for carriages and then dismounted from his carriage and entered the park on foot. As he walked and wandered in the park for exercise, King Pasenadi saw roots of trees that were lovely and inspiring, quiet and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat. The sight of these reminded him of the Blessed One thus. These roots of trees are lovely and inspiring, quiet and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat, like the places where we used to pay respect to the Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha. Then he told Diga Karayana what he had thought and asked, where is he living now, the Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha? Stop here for a moment. So here you can see that the Buddha used to live in very secluded places, remote from people, where it was very ideal for meditation. So he used to find the Buddha in such places. So when he saw this quiet, secluded park, he suddenly thought of the Buddha and wanted to see the Buddha. There is, sire, a town of the Sakyans named Medalumpa. The Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha, is now living there. How far is it from Nagaraka to Medalumpa? It is not far, sire, 3 leagues or 3 yojanas, which is about 30 kilometers. There is still daylight enough to go there. Then, dear Karayana, have the state carriages prepared. Let us go and see the Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha. Yes, sire, he replied. When the state carriages were prepared, he informed the king, Sire, the state carriages are ready for you. Now is the time to do as you think fit. Then King Pasenadi mounted a state carriage and accompanied by the other carriages set out from Nagaraka towards the Sakyan town of Medalumpa. He arrived there while it was still daylight and proceeded towards the park. He went thus as far as the road was passable for carriages, and then he dismounted from his carriage and entered the park on foot. Now on that occasion a number of monks were walking up and down in the open, and King Pasenadi went to them and asked, Venerable sirs, where is he living now, the Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha? We want to see the Blessed One, Arhan Sammasambuddha. And the monk replied, That is his dwelling, great king, with the closed door. Go up to it quietly, without hurrying. Enter the porch, clear your throat, and tap on the panel. The Blessed One will open the door for you. King Pasenadi handed over his sword and turban to Diga Karayana then and there. Then Diga Karayana thought, so the king is going into secret session now, and I have to wait here alone. Without hurrying, King Pasenadi went quietly up to the dwelling with the closed door, entered the porch, cleared his throat, and tapped on the panel. The Blessed One opened the door. Stop here for a moment. So, you see, this king wanted to go and see the Buddha, and out of respect, he removed his sword and his turban. When you want to learn the Dhamma, when a lay person wants to learn the Dhamma from a monk, he must not be carrying his sword or wearing a turban. He has to uncover the head, since the monk has not covered the head. So out of respect, this king remove this emblem of kingship. Then King Pasenadi entered the dwelling, prostrating himself with his head at the Blessed One's feet. He covered the Blessed One's feet with kisses and caressed them with his hands, pronouncing his name. I am King Pasenadi of Kosala, Venerable Sir. I am King Pasenadi of Kosala, Venerable Sir. And the Buddha said, but great king, what reason do you see for doing such supreme honor to this body and for showing such friendship? And he said, Venerable Sir, I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. Now, Venerable Sir, I see some recluses and Brahmins leading a limited holy life for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years or 40 years. And then on a later occasion, I see them well groomed and well anointed, with trimmed hair and beards, enjoying themselves provided and endowed with the 5 cords of sensual pleasure. But here I see monks leading the perfect and pure holy life, as long as life and breath last. Indeed, I do not see any other holy life elsewhere as perfect and pure as this. That is why, Venerable Sir, I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. I'll stop here for a moment. So, when the king went to the Buddha, he immediately prostrated himself, bowed down and kissed the Buddha's feet. This is an Indian tradition. When they show respect, they like to touch the feet. And this king even went as far as to kiss the Buddha's feet. Then the Buddha said, why do you show so much respect to this body? Then he said, because he infers, according to Dhamma, that the Buddha is fully enlightened, the Dhamma is well proclaimed, and the Sangha of monks are practicing the good way. He says in other religions, other external ascetics, he see them becoming a monk or ascetic for 10 years, 20, 30, even 40 years. And after even 40 years, they disrobe and go back to lay life, enjoy sensual pleasures. But here, he sees the monks wearing the robe until they die. That's why he says, he believes there is no other holy life as pure and perfect as the Buddha's. This is the first praise of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Again, Venerable Sir, kings quarrel with kings, nobles with nobles, Brahmins with Brahmins, householders with householders, mother quarrels with child, child with mother, father with child, child with father, brother quarrels with brother, brother with sister, sister with brother, friend with friend. But here, I see monks living in concord, with mutual appreciation, without disputing, blending like milk and water, viewing each other with kindly eyes. I do not see any other assembly elsewhere with such concord. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. Let's stop here for a moment. So this is the second praise of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. It says, you can see everywhere, even within families, family members quarrel. And then even among kings and nobles and Brahmins and householders, they quarrel. But here the monks live in harmony and concord, viewing each other with kindly eyes, having metta, a lot of metta for each other. That's why he believes that the Buddha is enlightened, the Dhamma is well proclaimed, and the Sangha is practicing the good way. Again, Venerable Sir, I have walked and wandered from park to park and from garden to garden. There I have seen some recluses and Brahmins who are lean, wretched, unsightly, jaundiced, with veins standing out on their limbs, such that people would not want to look at them again. I have thought, surely these venerable ones are leading the holy life in discontent, or they have done some evil deed and are concealing it. So lean and wretched are they, such that people would not want to look at them again. I went up to them and asked, why are you venerable ones so lean and wretched? unsightly, jaundiced, with veins standing out on the limbs, such that people would not want to look at you again. Their reply was, "It is our family sickness, great king. But here I see monks smiling and cheerful, sincerely joyful, plainly delighting, their faculties fresh, living at ease, unruffled, subsisting on what others give, abiding with mind as aloof as the wild deers. I have thought, surely these venerable ones perceive successive states of lofty distinction in the Blessed One's dispensation, since they abide thus, smiling and cheerful, etc., with mind as aloof as the wild deers. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way." Let's stop here for a moment. So this third praise, he says, whereas he sees other ascetics so lean and wretched, jaundice, that means looking all yellow, with veins standing out, so ugly looking that you don't want to see them a second time. But here he sees the Buddha's disciples are smiling and cheerful, so happy. That's why he says that he believes the Buddha is enlightened, etc. Again, Venerable Sir, being a head anointed noble king, I am able to have executed those who should be executed, to find those who should be fined, to exile those who should be exiled. Yet when I am sitting in council, they break in and interrupt me. Though I say, "Gentlemen, do not break in and interrupt me when I am sitting in council. Wait till the end of my speech." Still they break in and interrupt me. But here I see monks, while the Blessed One is teaching the Dhamma to an assembly of several hundred followers, and then there is not even the sound of a disciple of the Blessed One coughing or clearing his throat. Once the Blessed One was teaching the Dhamma to an assembly of several hundred followers, and there a disciple of his cleared his throat. Thereupon one of his companions in the holy life nudged him with his knee to indicate, "Be quiet, Venerable Sir, make no noise. The Blessed One, the teacher, is teaching us the Dhamma." I thought, it is wonderful, it is marvelous how an assembly can be so well disciplined without force or weapon. Indeed, I do not see any other assembly elsewhere so well disciplined. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. I stop here again for a moment. So this fourth praise, the king says he has, being a head anointed noble king, he has the power to execute anybody who should be executed, etc. Yet when he is speaking in council, they interrupt him. He asks them not to interrupt him, they still interrupt him. And are not so respectful towards him. But you see, when the Buddha is teaching the Dhamma, even to several hundred followers, not a sound can be heard, not even the clearing of the throat. Once one of the Buddha's monks cleared the throat, and then another monk used the knee to nudge him and told him to keep quiet. So he said, you cannot see elsewhere people so disciplined as the Buddha's disciples. That's why he infers that the Buddha is enlightened, etc. Again, Venerable Sir, I have seen here certain learned nobles who were clever, knowledgeable about the doctrines of others, as sharp as hair-splitting marksmen. They wander about, as it were, demolishing the views of others with their sharp wits. When they hear, the recluse Gautama will visit such and such a village or town, they formulate a question thus: we will go to the recluse Gautama and ask him this question. If he is asked like this, he will answer like this, and so we will refute his doctrine in this way. If he is asked like that, he will answer like that, and so we will refute his doctrine in that way. They hear, the recluse Gautama has come to visit such and such a village or town. They go to the Blessed One, and the Blessed One instructs, urges, rouses, and encourages them with a talk on the Dhamma. After they have been instructed, urged, roused, and encouraged by the Blessed One with a talk on the Dhamma, they do not so much as ask him the question, so how should they refute his doctrine? In actual fact, they become his disciples. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. Again, Venerable Sir, I have seen certain learned Brahmins, learned householders, in the same way, they come to argue with the Buddha, but when the Buddha teaches them the Dhamma, they are so impressed by the Dhamma that they have no question to ask the Buddha, and they become the Buddha's disciples. So that's why he says he believes the Buddha is enlightened, etc. This is the fifth praise. Again, Venerable Sir, I have seen certain learned recluses, they come to argue with the Buddha, and after they are taught the Dhamma, they do not so much as ask him the question, so how should they refute his doctrine? In actual fact, they ask the Blessed One to allow them to go forth from the home life into homelessness, and he gives them the going forth. Not long after they have thus gone forth, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute, by realizing for themselves with direct knowledge, they here and now enter upon and abide in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home life into homelessness. They say thus, we were very nearly lost, we very nearly perished, for formerly we claimed that we were recluses, though we were not really recluses. We claimed that we were Brahmanas, holy men, though we were not really Brahmanas. We claimed that we were Arahants, though we were not really Arahants. But now we are recluses, now we are Brahmanas, now we are Arahants. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. Stop here for a moment. So this is the sixth praise. He says that these recluses, other external ascetics, they come to argue with the Buddha. But after hearing the Dhamma of the Buddha, they ask to become his disciple, and they go forth under him. And after some time practicing the holy life, they also become liberated, enlightened. Again, Venerable Sir, Isiddhatha and Purana, my two inspectors, eat my food and use my carriages. I provide them with a livelihood and bring them fame. Yet in spite of this, they are less respectful towards me than they are towards the Blessed One. Once, when I had gone out leading an army and was testing these inspectors, Isiddhatha and Purana, I happened to put up in very cramped quarters. Then these two inspectors, Isiddhatha and Purana, after spending much of the night in talk on the Dhamma, lay down with their heads in the direction where they had heard that the Blessed One was staying, and with their feet towards me. I thought, it is wonderful, it is marvelous. These two inspectors, Isiddhatha and Purana, eat my food and use my carriages. I provide them with a livelihood and bring them fame. Yet, in spite of this, they are less respectful towards me than they are towards the Blessed One. Surely these good people perceive successive stages of lofty distinction in the Blessed One's dispensation. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer according to Dhamma about the Blessed One. The Blessed One is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way. I'll stop here for a moment. So this is the seventh praise. He says his inspectors, these two persons, I think, help the king to inspect certain places or to inspect his palace, etc. So they are very close to the king. Once they had to stay together in very cramped quarters, maybe in a tent. And these two persons, Isiddhatha and Purana, they are disciples, lay disciples of the Buddha. When they went to sleep, they had so much respect for the Buddha that the head was facing the direction where the Buddha was, and their feet towards the king. So the king was amazed how these two fellows, they are so respectful to the Buddha. Again, Venerable Sir, the Blessed One is a noble, and I am a noble. The Blessed One is a Kosalan, and I am a Kosalan. The Blessed One is 80 years old, and I am 80 years old. Since that is so, I think it proper to do such supreme honor to the Blessed One, and to show such friendship. Stop here for a moment. So this is the 8th praise. From here we can see that the Buddha was a citizen of Kosala. And this Kosala country had only one king, and that king is Pasenadi, not the Buddha's father. According to legend, the Buddha's father was a king, but in actual fact, the Buddha's father was just one of the many noble persons, just like we have a lot of Rajas and Tunkus in the country. So the Buddha's father was just one of the ordinary Rajas, not the king, but his father was wealthy. So at that time, King Pasenadi was 80 years old, and the Buddha was 80 years old. And now, Venerable Sir, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, great King, to do as you think fit. Then King Pasenadi of Kosala rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. Then soon after he had left, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Monks, before rising from his seat and departing, this King Pasenadi uttered monuments to the Dhamma. Learn the monuments to the Dhamma, monks. Master the monuments to the Dhamma. Remember the monuments to the Dhamma. The monuments to the Dhamma are beneficial, monks, and they belong to the fundamentals of the holy life. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, this sutta is called Dhammacetiya Sutta. Cetiya is the word for stupa. You can also say monument. So he's praising the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. But here the Buddha told his disciples he's praising the Dhamma. The Buddha is always humble. It doesn't say he's praising the Buddha. It says he's praising the Dhamma. The Buddha, the king uttered monuments to the Dhamma, praises so great like monuments to the Dhamma. So this is an interesting sutta. You can see from here a few things. So I just recap these 8 things. First one, the Buddha said, this king says, whereas in other external ascetics, they even may have renounced 10, 20, 30 or 40 years, and then later they disrobe, go back to lay life. But in the Buddha's disciples, they wear the robe until they die. That's why he's so impressed. The second one, he says, it's natural for kings to quarrel with kings, nobles with nobles, Brahmins with Brahmins, and even within the family, people quarrel. But among the monks, they blend like milk and water, living in concord and harmony. That's why is the second praise. The third one, he says, he has seen other external ascetics, thin and wretched, looking very miserable, because many of them, they practice all these ascetic practices, torturing their body. So because they torture their body, they feel a lot of misery, a lot of suffering. But the Buddha's disciples don't do that. They meditate and attain the jhanas, and they attain great bliss. And that's why they feel so happy and always smiling. That's the third praise. And the fourth one is, he says, he being a head anointed noble king, he is able to execute whoever should be executed, etc., and fine, etc. Yet now, when he's speaking in council, people still interrupt him. They don't have so much respect for him. Whereas the Buddha's disciples, when the Buddha is teaching the Dhamma, even to several hundred disciples, not a sound can be heard, not even the coughing or clearing the throat. That's the fourth. Then the fifth is talking about these nobles, learned Brahmins and learned householders who come to argue with the Buddha. They plan before they come that they will ask the Buddha this, and if the Buddha answers in such a way, they will demolish the Buddha's argument. When they come to the Buddha teaches them the Dhamma, and they're so impressed that instead of asking any question, they become the disciples of the Buddha. Then number 6, learned recluses, external set recluses, similarly come to argue with the Buddha, but they are so impressed by the Buddha's teaching that they beg to become monks under the Buddha. And after becoming monks, they practice, and after a few years, they also attain liberation. And number 7, the king says, his 2 inspectors, Isiddhartha and Purana, even though the king provides them with the food, their livelihood, and their fame and all that, yet they are less respectful to the king than to the Buddha. At night, they sleep with the head towards the Buddha and the feet towards the king, and the king is utterly amazed. Then number 8, the king says that he is a noble, the Buddha is also a noble. He is a Kosalan, the Buddha is also a Kosalan. He is 80 years old, the Buddha is also 80 years old. So these are the monuments to the Dhamma. Okay, we shall end here. Anything to discuss? Where is it stated that he is doubtful? No, there's no King Pasenadi who doubted the Buddha's enlightenment. He's only asked certain questions like this, how would the Buddha do anything wrong? And then remember Ananda said no. No, there was a Brahmin who the first Brahmin, not the king. Not exactly that we should not have anybody who is dear to us. It's natural to love certain people. Only thing the Buddha's teaching is that you must know the danger. If you know the danger, then you know how to tarik brake pull the brakes Don't go overboard If you go overboard, when something happens to them, you become mad The Buddha stated so many cases, become mad. So in the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha said, we should know danger in life. So we should practice a middle path. So whatever we do, we don't go overboard. Don't go to the extremes.
There's a story about a woman who child with child where advisor will look for how something to do after
this is the story of Kisa Gotami. Kisa Gotami, she was a young lady who had a child, probably her first child, and very young, the child died. So she, so heartbroken, she went out of her mind and was carrying the child around, asking for somebody to cure the child's sickness. But the child had already died. So already died a few days. She was still walking around with the dead corpse of the child, asking for cure until she came to the Buddha. Then the Buddha used a trick asked her to go to some house where nobody had died. Asked for this mustard or something, and she went from house to house, could not find a house where nobody died. So came back to the Buddha, then the Buddha taught her the Dhamma that everybody has to die. No, there's nobody who does not die. Then made her understand the Dhamma, and then she, having understood the Dhamma, asked to go forth as a nun. So she later became a nun and later became an Arahant. This is probably found in the Theory Gatha verses of the Arahants. And also in the Dhammapada commentary. Dhammapada commentary, I think. But not in the suttas, not in the four Nikayas. Okay, shall we end here?